welcome to Varsity Blue. I won't say Varsity Blues quite yet. I think we all agree on that one. I guess next weekend we'll decide. I'm Prasad, Adam Brewster, David Nows. Obviously a disappointing game this weekend, guys. And Denard Robinson, David. The magic wore off pretty quickly there.
Yeah, I don't know really what to say about that performance other than Denard Robinson is back on planet Earth again after that 3-interception performance. But I think we all expected him to come down to earth eventually, maybe not hit the ground that hard. But after all, he is human.
Only, 2 turnovers leading up to this weekend, and then 3 all in one game equals defeat, really, for almost any team.
3 turnovers against any team, especially one as good as Michigan State.
And 2 in the red zone.
And when 2 are in the red zone.
2 in the red zone. Yeah.
Nonetheless, you're not going to overcome that with this team, and especially with a defense that's as lackluster as Michigan's is.
Well, it's going to be painful, Adam, but why don't you recap what happened this past Saturday at the Big House?
First sad highlight reading of the year. Well, the first play we have is a good one. Michael Shaw, a 21-yard rush all the way down to the Michigan State 16-yard line. Michigan's offense moving the ball well until Denard Robinson finds the wrong Robinson on this play right here. Not Terrence Robinson, but the mystery T. Robinson of the Michigan State secondary picks off the ball in the end zone. Michigan would stop Michigan State. They get the ball back here. Robinson with a 15-yard pass to Junior Hemingway. And just a few plays later on 4th and 3, Robinson converts with a 4-yard rush on the outside.
Greg Jones missed that tackle.
Greg Jones did miss that tackle. And then Michigan, look, they kicked the field goal. Seth Brookhuizen hits like the second Michigan field goal of the year, and then things start to turn around for Michigan State Spartans. Edwin Baker with a 61-yard rush all the way down to the Michigan end zone, 7-3 Michigan State. Ensuing Michigan possession coming up right here. Denard Robinson completes this pass to Roy Roundtree for 12 yards down to the Michigan State 42. A few plays later, Robinson would find Kelvin Grady, who had a few clutch catches this game, for 11 yards across the middle. Michigan moving the ball well. And then 2 plays later, Robinson will hit Martell Webb, who does something other than block. On the outside, fights his way into the end zone. Michigan regains the lead. They go up 10-7. Here's what I warned Michigan fans about last week. Keyshawn Martin in the flats, an example of it right here. As Cousins hit Keyshawn Martin for 17 yards. That man is very fast. That 3rd and long right there on that conversion. And then about 6 or so plays later, Le'Veon Bell right up the gut for 41 yards and another Michigan State touchdown. Michigan's interior run defense allowing 2 huge plays, and that would turn out to be very costly in the final result. Next Michigan State drive, Cousins hooking up with B.J. Cunningham for 10 yards to the Michigan 39. That was a 4th and 3 conversion. And then a couple plays later, Michigan defense showing a sign of, hey, we're not done yet. Mike Martin gets credit for this sack right here, but really it was a whole effort by the defensive line. You see Martin delivers the final blow. This would all lead to a Michigan State field goal, and that would give Michigan State the 17-10 lead. Play almost blocked there by the rookie Obize. Michigan, though, one more shot at the end of the half. Robinson hits Martavius Odoms for 49 yards to put Michigan with a chance to score right before the half. Tay Odoms, though, would suffer a broken foot later in the game. He is out indefinitely. Bad news for the Wolverines. And then a blocked field goal right here. So Michigan will go into halftime down to 17-10. Not a horrible deficit for the Wolverines. Didn't look great in the first half, but this did not help. Cousins once again finds Martin 15 yards to the Michigan State 48. Martin came out of nowhere there to save Charlie Gant. And then just a couple plays later, Cousins to Mark Dell, another 41-yard touchdown for the Spartans. They go up 24-10 very early in the second half. Michigan not done though. Denard Robinson right here with a 16-yard rush, his longest of the day. State's defense did a good job containing those big 70, 80-yard runs that Michigan fans have become so used to seeing. But then another mistake here. Costly. Robinson's pass picked off by Johnny Adams right on the Michigan State goal line. 2 red zone interceptions by Robinson, as we mentioned earlier. And Michigan State would capitalize off of this turnover. Cousins on this trick play right here, a reverse. Keyshawn Martin flips it to Cousins. Cousins finds his former backup, Keith Nickel, looking like Blair White all the way down to the Michigan 8-yard line. And then Larry Caper will do the rest himself. himself right here on this 8-yard run the next play. Michigan State up 31-10 midway through the third quarter. Michigan not done yet. Kelvin Grady, after 3 drops in a row on 4th and 10 right there, Michigan manages to hang on to that ball. Kelvin Grady with a good catch. And that would lead to a Michigan touchdown. Right there. And Denard Robinson pass right here. That is the crushing blow as Chris Rucker comes out of nowhere to intercept that pass intended for Kelvin Grady. A little bit of a deceiving angle right there. Cousins once again finding Mark Dell. Another huge play for the Spartans. 44-yard pass all the way down the sidelines to Dell. He would get tackled out of bounds. And then a few plays later, Dan Conroy would deliver what would be the final blow for the Michigan State Spartans. They are up 31-10. And after this field goal, make it 30. They're up 31-17. This made it 34-17. And Michigan would not be able to recover. Why we included this next highlight in, I don't know. Michigan State kneels the ball, they win. Cousins takes off his helmet, and Adam Brewster storms out of the stadium.
That's actually a personal foul. There's time left. You can't take your helmet off. Just saying.
I don't think it would have made a difference.
Just saying. Well, that's your only that's the only reaction you can have is. I don't understand when the clock runs out like that, why all of a sudden the rules don't apply. I mean, I understand it doesn't matter,
like when
but all of a sudden things just stop mattering. Like they don't call anything anymore.
Your whole team can actually go on the field, as we saw in the 05 Alamo Bowl.
Exactly. And every once in a while it comes back to bite you. And take a look at the total stats. Certainly, the stats tell the whole story. For the first time all year, Denard not invincible, and we'll have the conversation, was he contained or just self-restrained and sitting in the pocket for so long? The defense continues to be awful, and of course the most noteworthy stat of all, first time Michigan State has defeated Michigan 3 years in a row since the mid-60s. That was a long time ago. Look at the total yards. Again, this Michigan defense, there's all sorts of ranking statistics that will tell you how bad it is, but giving up over 500 yards to another opponent, not Indiana, not the pass-happy offense, but a balanced offense. And the big runs, very reminiscent of 2 years ago when Javon Ringer had like 58 carries and only 2 long runs, but in the end had up to more than 200 yards. Robinson, though, 314 total yards. I mean, still, total yards-wise, not bad, but the turnovers really killed Michigan on Saturday. So, David, was this Greg Jones being so awesome that he shut down Denard Robinson, or was this someone crawling into Denard Robinson's head and saying, you shouldn't run when you drop back to pass?
Well, I don't think it was Greg Jones in the Michigan State defense. I think it definitely had more to do with something that is not in Denard Robinson's head, but rather in his helmet telling him not to run, and that's play calling wise, things like that. I don't think Rich Rodriguez had the strategy necessarily to run the ball. It seemed like a much more methodical type play calling attack. There were a lot more throws down the field rather than running that triple option, rather than running, those bubble screens that Michigan normally does. So it was a very kind of mysterious change to the play calling as opposed to the last few weeks, and just kind of surprising.
Certainly some credit to Michigan State for making those interceptions, but they were particularly bad throws. I don't think you won't get any arguments that Michigan State just, what a great break on the ball. Maybe the last one. But, the first interception to Roundtree, just thrown well behind him. I mean, that's an interception. Throw into triple coverage there to Junior Hemingway, his second interception.
And what you saw there was signs of a sophomore quarterback caught up in the heat of a big rivalry game. Happened to Tim Tebow a couple years ago against LSU. He was held to just over 200 yards after setting the world on fire through the first 5 games of the season like Denard did. And it was just the signs that he's not quite there yet. 3 interceptions in a rivalry game is costly. 2 in the red zone is deadly. I mean, it's something that he's going to definitely work on, and he told the team afterwards, and this is what I like so much about the kid, is he accepted responsibility and put it all on himself, which he didn't need to do because it certainly wasn't all his fault. But it shows that that leadership is there as only a sophomore. But the football, the decision-making, that'll come. And, you had to expect something like this was going to happen.
And what about the defense? They did force Michigan State to punt 4 times, David. Michigan punted 4 times as well. Certainly, the defense not as good as you would like, but at the same time, if you had told me Michigan was going to stop, Michigan State 4 or 5 times, I probably would have taken it for a kickoff.
Yeah, and I think all things considered, the defense was not the reason that Michigan lost this game. It was more in terms of offense only scoring 17 points. You expected this Michigan team to have to score at least 30, maybe 35 or 40 to win the game. Michigan defense held them to only 34 points, and other than a few big plays, really seemed to keep Michigan State in check. Forced a lot of 3rd and 10s, a lot of 3rd and longs, and also, as you said, Michigan State had 4 punts. So
that 3rd and 1 was just infuriating, by the way. So
it was very infuriating. But with all those things being said, I think the Michigan defense actually took a step forward. So I don't really think you can be upset with the Michigan defense's performance. I was pretty impressed.
I don't know about a step forward, perhaps a baby step forward. Okay, Adam Brewster. Should we all set our hair on fire and run around screaming? Or is this just one game in a long season?
It's one game in a long season. Yes, it hurts to lose to Michigan State, especially for the 3rd time in a row. But Michigan State's a good team this year, and they've got a chance, as weird as this sounds, to go undefeated. I mean, we're used to this perception of Michigan State, at least us three, growing up in an era where Michigan has dominated this rivalry. But Michigan State is turning into a solid program. And again, it was a balanced team. They showed up ready to play, and the turnovers were costly. I don't think you'll see a turnover-ridden performance like this one again. But it did show kind of, you know, if Denard struggles, can this team really make it through?
David, Michigan State hasn't been to the Rose Bowl since 1987, and due to the laws of jinxing, I'm going to talk about Michigan State and Rose Bowl a whole lot the next couple of weeks. Do they really have a shot? Ohio State, not on the schedule.
They do have a shot. However, I just don't like their chances. They do have to go to Northwestern.
Well, you might not like their chances, but do they have good chances?
I don't love their chances because they do have to go to Northwestern, which is a classic trap game. Being that Northwestern's a pretty good team, they did lose to Purdue this weekend, but even though Ryan Field's not the most fierce environment, they're still a very good football team. They also play some other good teams on the road. I believe they have to go to Iowa. So that makes it very difficult for Michigan State to go undefeated or even one loss. I think they'll lose 2 games. That might put them in the Rose Bowl depending on how other teams shake out. It might not. I think something like Citrus Bowl, not Citrus Bowl, but now Capital One Bowl, excuse me, more likely.
Gotta mention the corporate sponsors. We have to go to commercial break and pay some bills ourselves. Coming back on the other side, we'll talk about the Big Ten. Illinois, decent? Stay tuned. Welcome back to Varsity Blue. Alex Prasad, Adam Brewster, David Nows, and perhaps the only fans in the Big Ten feeling more blue than Michigan fans this week might be Penn State fans. A big loss to Illinois. Let's take a look at what happened this past weekend in the Big Ten. Another shocker, Purdue beating Northwestern 20-17, guys, at Ryan Field. Adam, for all all the crap that Northwestern gets for being Northwestern, they've been pretty good the past couple of years. Purdue has deserved the crap they've gotten, but pulled off a big win.
This was a game where if you look at the stats, you go, how did Purdue lose this game? How did Northwestern lose this game? Northwestern had the ball for 9 more minutes than Purdue and outgained Purdue by 110 yards, and Purdue threw for 47 yards. That's it. And somehow Northwestern managed to lose this game. Neither team looked very impressive to begin with. Neither team was really turnover-ridden. It was just kind of a defensive battle with Northwestern unable to put the ball into the end zone. And I think Northwestern will bounce back. Pat Fitzgerald's a very good coach. He'll keep this team focused. And as David mentioned before, it's still a potential trap game for Michigan State. You know they'll be fired up for that in a couple weeks before Michigan State heads to Iowa.
I have to mention Minnesota lost again this past week. Smiles. David, Illinois, Penn State. That's the story of this weekend. For this, no matter what Michigan State fans say, Michigan certainly, I think, was overrated going to that game. I think everyone agrees, and perhaps Michigan State was too, though they have that Wisconsin win to their credit. But no one saw Illinois going to Happy Valley this past weekend and winning 33-13.